Bila shaka tutarudia taarifa hiyo yake Steven Nzioka. Nataka tuelekee katika shule ya Thika Road pale ambapo katibu wa elimu Belio Kipsangi yuko pale kuelezea baadhi ya changamoto ambazo zimekuwa zikiibuka, hususan uhaba wa madarasa ya gredi ya 9 na baadhi ya shule ambazo zikiwa bado hazijapokea vitabu kwenye mpango wa serikali, miongoni mwa changamoto nyingine. Hebu tusikilize.
Class 1 to class 8, and which, as we are all aware, the last class 8 class exited out of to Form 1 last year, and this is the first time that we are having a grade 9 in what is our primary schools, where when we went round with the Presidential Working Party in 2022 and part of 2023, Kenyans, to an extent of 93%, recommended that we domicile our junior school in our current primary schools, because in the opinions of most of the Kenyans, sorry, is that the age of these kids was more appropriate being in our primary schools, and that is why Kenyans thought that their kids will be better managed in our primary schools. And as you are all aware, most of our primary schools, to the extent of almost 96%, are day schools. And therefore it was going to make it cheaper for our parents to have their children in primary schools, which are predominantly day schools, and therefore they would be operating from their homes. And as you are all aware, the whole concept of competence-based education in the early ages of our children, we would want them to have an enhanced engagement with their parents. The parental engagement is bigger at this age, and therefore it was well appropriate that we domicile them in our primary schools. And therefore we've been progressively moving from PP1, PP2. In 2019, we are all aware that we rolled out CBC at grade 3, and thereafter we've been moving forward. In 2022, we did our first CAPSEA, and therefore in 2023, we had our first transition from our primary schools to our junior schools at grade 7. And we are all aware at that time we were all trying to align ourselves on how our children were going to settle. We settled them. We were able to do the costing of grade 7 and junior school, and arrived at a capitation of 15,043. And we were able to also to distribute books to these children, and they were able to use facilities that were used for class 7 and class 8. So even last year when they progressed to grade 8, there was no challenge, because already there were classrooms. And I think again, Kenyans saying that we domicile junior school in primary school also gave us an opportunity, and it was a better and cheaper option, because it meant we were only going to create and build facilities for only one class, grade 9. Because if we had domiciled it at high school, then our current senior school is having 4 classrooms. That is Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, and Form 4. So if Kenyans had said we domicile in senior school, then it would have meant building 2 extra classrooms in that particular environment. So domiciling in primary, I think, was slightly a cheaper option, both in terms of maintaining our children and in terms of the infrastructure that we needed. Now coming to grade 9, which today we had our first day of grade 9. First lesson, first encounter, first contact with the teachers and with the pupils at that particular level. For us to be able to adequately settle our children, when we did an assessment, we realized that we needed 16,000 classrooms to be able to settle our children in grade 9. And when we looked at resources, looked at the way that we were going to do it, we engaged with our members of parliament, the National Assembly. We told them that we wanted to partner in developing classrooms. Together with our other development partners, we as Ministry of Education, we said that we were going to do 11,000 classrooms, and CDF would do for us the remainder of 5,000 classrooms. I would want to say that so far, CDF has done for us 3,000 classrooms, which are ready and available for use. There are still another 2,000 at various levels of development. CDF has a more elaborate way of approvals and going through the processes. The bureaucracies are slightly higher than what we have as Ministry of Education. But notwithstanding, they have already done 3,000 classrooms. We at the Ministry of Education, as of this morning, we have done 10,500 classrooms ready out of the 11,000 that we were to do. And by end of, within the next 5-6 days, we should have concluded our 11,000 classrooms. So that we can say confidently that we today have around 14,000 classrooms which are ready. The exact number is 13,500 classrooms that are ready for our children across the country. I want to also confirm that across the country, we have distributed 9.9 million books to our schools for all the learning areas on a ratio of 1:1. One book to every pupil in every learning area, in the 9 learning areas. So this I can confirm today. Any school that has not received books is not because books were not available. It is because maybe on the day that the books were being taken, either because the schools were closed, there was nobody to receive the books, but the books have been printed. 9.9 million books are already printed and in our schools. This morning I engaged with the chair of the Teacher Service Commission, and they have issued posting instructions to all the teachers, the 20,000 that were taken in for internship as additional teachers, the 46,000 teachers who are converted to permanent and pensionable. They already got their posting and confirmation letters. As you are aware, earlier we had upgraded more than 10,000 teachers who are teaching in our primary schools. There is an assessment that they have already, an additional number again will be upgraded. But as we talk now, we have more than 80,000 teachers who can teach at our junior schools. We still, yes, have some shortage. We have not attained the numbers that we required, and we shall continue progressively within this time. Bring on more teachers, mainly on the science areas, to be able to support our junior school. But as we have already seen, I've been engaging with our regional directors the whole morning. The information that I have is that there has been quite smooth settling down of our junior school and generally our total school from grade 1 to grade 9. And as any challenges and teething issues come out, we are engaging our field officers, we are engaging our teachers. All our field officers, both from Teacher Service Commission and from the Ministry of Education, are working very closely, being coordinated by our NGAO, our National Government Administrative Officers. You can see I'm here with the Deputy County Commissioner, because these are people who are coordinating our field work and our field officers so that we are all able to deliver as one in government. We always, in education, deliver our program through the multi-agency approach, the way we deliver our examinations, and the way that we are delivering this transition is that we deliver as one in government so that we can be able to quickly consolidate the necessary information. Where there is need for quick action, then we have a whole structure that works with us, that runs from our ministry headquarters all the way to our schools, a structure that runs in the Ministry of Interior, all the way from the ministry headquarters, running all the way to our assistant chiefs. Even here I'm with both the chief and the assistant chief of this area, because we are optimizing on the total structure of government to ensure that we deliver our work well. Today we have our officers from the Ministry of Education, from the Teacher Service Commission, so that we ensure our kids settle down well, because that is why we are here, to work for our children. So I would want to leave at that unless there is any other question. But that is what we are trying to do. I know on issues of capitation, this morning I was engaging with my colleague in Treasury. We shall again be looking at, they were mapping out resources so that by end of day today, we shall be able to properly communicate to our schools on how we shall be releasing capitation to the schools. But we are all aligned, both at the National Treasury, the Ministry of Education. We are all aligned to make sure that this being a unique year, we don't want to create any hiccups to our school managers as they support our children. Thank you very much.
So I have a question. My name is Impress Okinda for Ramogi TV. What is the process of recruiting schools, primary schools to offer junior secondary schools learning services? Because there are some head teachers that are complaining that probably they are now at the mercy of county directors to allow them offer JSS.
Any other questions so that I can answer?
My name is Musungu from KTN. You have said that around basically 93% of the classes are done, but the situation in the ground is a bit different. For instance, in Kiminjui Primary, only there's a structure of 4 classes that cannot be completed in 6 days, like you said. Some that are not completed be completed in 6 days. What happens to schools like this?
And even just a rider to that, where we are standing right now, we see what this is about to commence and schools have opened. That 7-day period also will not be sufficient for these classes to be ready for use. And we're told even here, they will have to consolidate some streams to accommodate the other students, the 9th cohort that you're talking about right now. So if you're really being sincere and being honest, the situation might not be as rosy as you want to paint it. Maybe you can comment on that.
Thank you very much. What I said is that of the 500 classrooms that we were doing, the 11,000 that we were doing as Ministry of Education, and the 3,000 that has already been done by CDF, that those ones, most of them, and we are calling it phase 1 and phase 2, most of those ones, within the next 14 days, they will be done. This ones is a different phase. This ones, as you heard from the contractor, they have told us that they need a minimum of 25 days, which we shall give them the 25 days to be able to run these classrooms. And that's why when you saw the statement from the Cabinet Secretary, we said we are going to have short-term mitigating solutions to be able to give us time to finalize on any school that we are putting up a classroom. And some of the mitigating factors is, as you have said, where we might be consolidating on classrooms, there will be congestion for a short while, which is going to support us. In some situations, even where the congestions may not allow, we can have a multi-shift within the time, where when there is a class that is having outdoor activities, then within that time, another group can be optimizing on the classroom. So that within this short time of the next 30 days, we make sure that we don't disrupt learning. We work within the resources that is available to us so that our children do not suffer. And all transitions that we always do, they will always be teething problems. These ones, it is not that we didn't project it. We knew that there were going to be challenges, but we were consolidating resources to ensure that we have resources that will be able to assist us in putting up the classrooms. By the end of this exercise, we shall have utilized almost 16 billion shillings to put up these classrooms. And we would want to make sure that we do it in a way that we don't cause any disruption in learning. That's why we shall consolidate in some places where we have large classrooms, we shall consolidate some classes so that as much as they are bigger, they will be able to learn within this short time. In some places, as I said, if we must do a multi shift where when there is a class that is on outdoor activities, another one will be optimizing on the resources. And our teachers, when I talked to the chair of the Kenya Primary School Aids Association, as late as this morning, they say as teachers, and being a teacher myself, that they will be able to provide school-specific solutions that will make sure that we don't disrupt learning. And what we have guided them is that for the grade 9, we should be able to prioritize them in allocating them learning area. And in most places, they have retained their current grade 8 class so that we don't disrupt them. They have an assessment to sit at the end of the year. So we want to make sure that they optimize on learning time. And that's why the class that you have just come from, you've seen they have been given textbooks, because each school today has books that they require for grade 9. So without looking like we are putting a rosy picture, we are saying that our children, we shall ensure that all mitigating factors are put in place to ensure that there is no disruption in learning. On the issue of schools to offer grade junior school, we have a criteria. We issued guidelines, and it is not at the mercy of anybody. There is a certain minimum number of enrollment and minimum number of children that should be there for you to qualify. There will be certain factors like distances. Sometimes you may be having low enrollment, but the distances between schools is so far, and therefore we don't want to punish children to go long distances. So once you meet that criteria, then our field officers do not have a discretion, because there are very clear guidelines that ensures that a school can be registered to be a junior school. It is not at anybody's discretion, but at a very clear criteria that sets out our school becomes a junior school and which school will not be a junior school and continue to be a feeder school to other junior schools around that place. But the most important thing is that whatever it is that we do, it is always done with the child in mind, so that the child is not disadvantaged. There was a last question I have not answered.
I would like to ask one question.
I thought there was a third one. Okay.
I would like maybe to know what is the status of the 348 schools that we are banned to offer boarding facilities as of today. Maybe how many have qualified?
We were consolidating reports today, but I can say in Kisii, I can give that one because I saw a report this morning before I came here. I think of the 16 schools which were not meeting standards, I think 9 of them have done what was required of them. A reassessment has been done, and they have been given the go-ahead. The other reports I saw this morning were coming in. Before I left for this place, I would not have gone through them. But quite a number of schools have gone through a lot of reconstruction, because each school was given their report of what they needed to do. And some were very basic. Others were just required to do the CCTV and a few other things. Others were required to have the fire extinguishers. And some were not very difficult to achieve. Others were to change the direction of opening of the doors from opening inward to opening outside, removing grills on the windows. So quite a number of them, those who wanted to be reevaluated and re-inspected, and they have done what they were told to do, we have no problem, because what we wanted is the safety of our children. And anybody who has met that standard, they will continue, because we don't want to cane. Because at the end of all these things we are doing it for the child. And if it is for the convenience of the child to be in a boarding school, then we will not disadvantage that child by taking them out of that environment. But they must be safe. So if the school owners have done their job, we shall re-inspect and allow them to continue. Yeah.
Maybe you can just give us a status update on how far or how many JS schools have had laboratories provided for them. We have the 9th cohort now, but in some primary schools, they really never had a chance to use the laboratories, and they're soon moving to senior school.
So that I don't mislead the country in terms of numbers, we have just finalized, we are just processing our report on them. We did a national school census last year, and in that census it was taking everything, including the infrastructure, the nature of infrastructure, the teachers, what is required. Let's finalize the report, then we shall be in a better place to be able to give you a real detailed situation. In fact, today we are also going to, at the end of this exercise of settling down our grade 9, we shall again have another multi-agency team who will be doing an assessment of infrastructure requirements in our schools, so that we don't only finish grade 9 and then again in a short while we are having other challenges in congestion in the lower classes. So immediately we finish this exercise within the next 2 weeks, we are going to commission a multi-agency team to now give us infrastructure requirements in our schools, so that now as government we can start mobilizing and be able to start putting in place adequate infrastructure and appropriate infrastructure for our learners to be able to learn in a safe and conducive environment. Okay, asante sana good people, and I know all of us most of us are parents.
Bila shaka huyo ni katibu katika Wizara ya Elimu Dr. Belio Kipsang akiweza kuzungumzia masuala mbalimbali ambayo yanafungamana na maandalizi ya muhula wa kwanza wa mwaka 2025 ikiwemo grade ya 9, akisema mikakati ambayo imewekwa katika ujenzi wa madarasa ambayo ndio moja ya vikwazo ambavyo vimekuwepo, vile vile vitabu vya kiada, akisema kwamba takriban milioni 9.9 ya vitabu hivyo tayari vimechapishwa na vimetumwa katika shule mbalimbali humu nchini. Hiyo ni baadhi ya taarifa ambayo mwenzangu Musungu kwa pale anayefuatilia, na tutakuwa tunakujuza kwa kina katika taarifa zijazo, lakini kwa sasa tupate pumziko fupi. Tukirudi pia tutakuja kuangazia masuala mengineyo.